I can't buy the air I breathe. I can't buy the trees. I can't buy the deepest seas. But it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.
Hello and welcome to Around the World in 88 Tales. My name is David Heathfield and I'm here at the Royal Albert Memorial Museum in Exeter. It's a museum that I've known all my life. And, well, I want to tell you something, that Exeter, if you don't know already, is a Roman city. So it dates right back 2,000 years to when the Romans came to this island, Britain, and Exeter was one of the first few forts in the country. And I'll tell you a bit more about Roman history in a minute. But first of all, let's meet our story sharer today. I'm very excited to introduce you to Zouhair Khaznaoui in Marrakesh in Morocco. Hi Zuhair, how are you?
Hello. Thank you, David. I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. Happy to be here with you and to be amongst the storytellers this morning. So a bit about myself. Yes.
So you're here in Marrakesh, right? In Morocco.
Yes, exactly. But yes, I'm from Marrakech, but at the moment I'm in Essaouira, so it's a little bit towards the ocean.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. So please, Zuhair, tell us a little bit about yourself as a storyteller, and why you want to be part of this global project.
All right. So for me, I was born and raised in Marrakech, a city that is soaked into storytelling and oral culture. I mean, everything in the Moroccan culture is oral, going from the songs to the stories to the riddles. So I've been actually lucky to meet one of the oldest and the best masters of storytelling in Morocco, because it's a craft. Um, I met the guy, his name is Haj Ahmed Zarghni, and then he started teaching me, and they started going to tours with him. And actually, I was really hooked. I was really interested, especially that studying something that is totally different. And having a lot of other interests, rather than storytelling. But I was hooked. And up to this day, it's been 7 years right now. I mean, since the beginning of my storytelling journey. I mean, it's been really crazy. I went to places, I met very amazing people. That's the best part of storytelling is making connection. I mean, the human connection is really good, and being able to see the impact of your stories on people's. I mean, the least thing is that you make up their day.
Absolutely.
The best.
Well,
Yeah.
when I've listened to your storytelling, I've only listened on the internet. I haven't met you live yet, but I have that engagement. I love the way you tell stories. Can I just tell you, you're part of the Marrakech Storytelling Festival, which is coming up in February. Is that right?
Yes.
It's going to be a first international festival of many, I hope. And I'm very much looking forward to being part of it. I won't be there in person, but I'll be part of it online.
Actually, it's not the first. I mean, we've had a small version of it a couple of years ago, I guess at the end of 2019. It was good, but this one I'm really giving all my cards for this one. Really big, and the management is way better than the first one. Actually, the storytelling team, the storytelling body is really great. I mean, it's just the elite of the world. Not talking about myself, but the others. I'm really ready to learn.
Join Marrakech Storytelling Festival in February. So Zuhair, I'm going to introduce I'm going to introduce the museum object now. I'm just going to ask you to mute if you don't mind. And here is today's object, and it's a really special object. It's the Seaton Hoard, and you can see it's a mass of coins. I mentioned the Roman history of Exeter. Well, these Roman coins were discovered near Exeter in Seaton Down in Devon by this man, Lawrence Egerton, who was a metal detectorist in 2013. And in what it seemed that they were in a kind of leather sack, although the sack itself has disintegrated, so it's hard to work out exactly. But there are 22,888 coins that were discovered in this hoard. I mean, it's a metal detectorist stream. It's one of the biggest finds of Roman coins anywhere in the UK, let alone globally. And they were left there in the 4th century. Most of the coins are numai, so they're associated with Constantine I. And I'm just going to show you a couple of the coins that were found. I mean, this beautiful, crowned emperor's head, and this celebration of Rome as a city with Romulus and Remus and the wolf. I mean, it's just the most. And there is the hoard, because all the coins were kind of molded together, but now they've been cleaned and separated and are on display in the museum. So this is the artifact to inspire the story that I'm going to tell, and then that Zuhair will tell after me. So let me tell you my story. So my story comes, I think, from China. And I learned this story from Jenifah Abu Hasan, who's a teacher, a storytelling teacher from Malaysia, who actually works in the United Arab Emirates. So thank you, Jenifah. A Chinese story told by a Malaysian storyteller. There was once a young man who said to his father, "Father, you are a renowned burglar. Father, teach me the art of burglary." "I think you are ready," said his father. "I think you have already learned, but let me test you. Come with me tonight." And father and son set off with sacks. And they came to a great mansion in the darkness, and they hid behind a tree next to a well, a deep well. And they watched, and when the guards had left their positions, the father and son advanced forward. They came to a fence. The father cut through the fence, made a hole. They crawled through. They came to the walls of that tall mansion. And the father scaled the walls, and the son followed him. His father tried a window and then another window, and it opened, and the two silently crawled into the room. The father lit a small candle, and there, in the middle of the room, was a chest. A locked chest. They couldn't open it, but the father searched the wall, found a loose panel, and there he found the key. He opened the chest, and it was full of shining coins. "Fill the sacks." And father and son, they filled their sacks full of these valuable shining coins. "Now, son, are there any coins left in the chest?" "None, father." "Climb in and make sure," said the father. So the young man climbed into the empty treasure chest, and the father slammed the lid closed, locked the treasure chest, and put the key back in the hiding place. And inside the chest said, "Father, what are you doing? What are you doing, Father? You're locking me in this treasure chest. Father, Father, help me. Please don't betray me." But the father had already jumped out of the window laughing, and he called, "Thief, thief! My father wants me killed." The son in the treasure chest was terrified, but then he breathed and calmed himself. The guards came running into the room. The boy waited. "The treasure chest is locked," they said. But inside the treasure chest, the young man began to scratch at the sides of that chest, as if he was a rat. And now the key was turned in the lock. The boy jumped out of the treasure chest, roaring loudly. He blew out the candle that the guard was holding. The men fell back in fear. He ran for the open window. He jumped. He landed. He rolled. "Thief! Thief! Stop that thief!" He ran for the fence. He found the hole his father had made and crawled through. All the time the men were running after him, the guards. He could hear dogs barking. He ran for his life. They were getting closer. Now he came to the well. He picked up a heavy rock, threw it down the well. Splash! The boy climbed into the tree. The guards reached the well. Did you hear him? He fell into the water, the fool. They looked down. There was no sign of movement. In the morning, when it is light, we will pull out his body and recover what was stolen. Finally, the guards moved away. The boy silently climbed down from the tree and made his way home. It was still night. He woke his father. "Father, you betrayed me. You left me for dead. Why did you do this?" His father looked at his son and said, "How did you get back?" "Father, I pretended to be a rat in the treasure chest. They opened it. I roared, sprang out. I frightened them, blew out the candle, jumped out of the window. I got through the hole in the fence. I threw a rock into the well. They believed I had fallen into the well. I climbed into the tree and hid, and now I am safely home." And the man looked at the boy and said, "Son, yes, you know the art of burglary." So that's a story I learned from Jenifah Abu Hasan in Malaysia, a story perhaps from China. And I'm looking now to see who's in the room. Please tell us where you are in the world. Oh, hi, Ivor's in Germany. Lovely that you're joining us, Ivor. And Tammy's here. Oh, yeah, fantastic. Tell us where you are in the world and join in. Tell us what you make of the stories. Even if you're listening to a recording on Facebook or on YouTube, please do leave your comments. I love looking at this hoard of so many thousands of coins in the museum and wondering the story of why they were hidden. Who put them there? What were they trying to hide? Were they trying to keep them? Were they stolen? We don't know. But now we're going back to Zouhair Khaznaoui in Morocco. Zuhair.
Oh, it's a lovely story. Thank you, David. I guess I also know the story. I've heard it many times, and I guess it is indeed from China. It's a good story. And my story is actually a little bit different. It has something to tell us about life.
Great. Please tell us your story, Zuhair.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my storytelling session, and welcome once again. I'm Zouhair Khaznaoui, a storyteller all the way from Marrakech, Morocco, and I am here today to tell you a wonderful story, an oral story from my country and culture. So, once upon a long time ago, there lived a merchant who was wealthy enough to have a lot of business going on land and on the sea. And with this merchant, there worked a shepherd who was taking care of this merchant's cattle, cows, camels, horses, and sheep. And this shepherd used to spend all his days up the mountains until it's sunset, until it's dark enough for sheep and cows to go back home. And that's when he goes back to his house. One day, it was in the middle of the day. The shepherd was tired. He sat to rest under the shade of a tree. So he was sipping some milk and eating some dates. And all of a sudden he heard "Salaam alaikum." with a very gentle voice. He saw up, he looked up at this wonderful, beautiful girl. At a certain point he was scared. He said, wait a minute, it's in the middle of a forest and there's a lot of wild animals here. Why is she here? Is she a genie? And he said, wa alaikum salam, lady, what are you doing here? There are a lot of wild animals. And she was wearing a fancy royal cloth and a lot of fancy jewelries, gold and silver. And she said, don't worry, I'm a human and I'm here to ask you something. My name is Dunya and I want to marry you, if you accept, of course. He stood up and he said, well, look at you, beautiful, and I'm single, I'm not married. I'll be honored to marry you. But he told her, before I actually marry, I have to go back to the one who hires me, a merchant, and ask him for my money, because I still have money to get from that merchant. She said, okay, I'll go with you. So they went to the city. The merchant saw that the shepherd came back early and he told him, why are you back at this time? It's not even sunset yet. And he told him, you know what, I'm going to marry and I want you to give me some of the money you still need to give me. And he told him, well, you spent all your day in the forest. How come you came to know a girl that will accept you as a husband? He said, well, this girl behind me, a beautiful girl, she accepts to marry me, in fact. The merchant really liked that girl. She was super beautiful. It was astonishing. He told him, well, step aside. I'll ask her. And if she confirms that she wants to marry you, I'll give you all your money. And then the merchant told Dunya, the girl, the beautiful girl, he told her, why on earth do you want to marry that merchant? Look at him, he's dirty and he's always on top of mountains and in forests. Marry me instead. I have all this business that you see around you. I'm wealthy enough to take care of a beautiful lady like you. And she told him, well, okay, if you want to marry me, I'll accept. And then the merchant told that shepherd that she wants to marry me instead. So they started fighting and eventually they decided to go to the judge of that city. They went to the judge, who was back then the ruler of the city. They told him the story and then the judge liked the girl as well. And he told him, I want you to go out. I'll ask the girl individually and whoever she chooses, that's going to be the husband. And then the judge told the girl, why do you want to marry a merchant? I mean, I'm more powerful and I'm richer than him. And of course you don't want to marry that shepherd. And then she told him, well, if you want me to marry you, I'll accept. And then he invited back the shepherd and the merchant, and the judge told him, well, she does not want to marry any of you. She actually wants to marry me. The shepherd told him, it's no way that's going to happen. Over my dead body, she's marrying some of you. I found her, and she accepted me first, and I'm going to be her husband. And then there was a quarrel, and they decided to go to the Sultan in the capital of the country. They went all the way to the Sultan, and they told him the story. Of course, the Sultan saw the girl, and he fancied her. And then he had a talk with her individually, of course, and same thing happened. He told him that she does not want to marry you, she wants to marry me. They started fighting and shouting at each other, and then the girl stopped him and she told him, I'll give you a very good solution for all of us. I'll walk ahead 10 meters away from you, and on the count of 3, I'll start running, and whoever catches me first, that's going to be my husband. And they all accepted. And then on the count of 3, they started chasing that girl. And imagine, they went out of the castle into the city, and people saw that the Sultan and three others are following a beautiful girl, and they started following her as well. I mean, painters, kids, everyone in the city, and everyone in the country, and everyone on earth as well. Up to this day, no one was lucky enough to catch Dunya. And ladies and gentlemen, Dunya is life. I mean, you can always chase life, but life remains ahead of you. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I'm looking forward to share another beautiful story with you.
Everyone is trying to catch up with life and it's always ahead of you. I love that. Amazing ending to the story.
Thank you.
Zuhair, what a fantastic story. Tell me, how did this story come to you?
It's actually a really good story behind this one. So one day I was in a tour in the Atlas Mountains in Morocco. I was with a lot of storytellers, and we decided, because we were going to tell stories to elderly people to some villages, and we decided to go ahead and tell some stories of wisdom. Actually, I shared one story about a king who was a womanizer, and he likes a lot of women, and he had a really good story. And then there's this guy who liked the story, and he told me that I'll give you a special story. So it was really special because I was really close to him and he was telling me this story. It's really animating and enchanting. I was not really expecting that it's going to be about life. And at the end, it makes sense. I mean, the whole thing makes sense.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Zuhair. Thank you for being part of this project, Around the World in 88 Tales.
I'm honored.
I wish you a very good day.
Air I breathe, I can't buy the trees, I can't buy the deepest seas, but it don't matter, 'cause they're there for free.